Hayo everyone, KCR Jones here, and I'm making this video with, well, I wasn't actually expecting to get both of these on the same day, so you're getting a two-parter episode of From the Shipping Box. So what we have here in this white box is something that I ordered in my last eBay auction victory, and in this box it's actually from a friend of mine who wanted to get me something for Valentine's Day, and it showed up this late. So as is tradition with these episodes, we got my little razor blade here. I'll actually move the mystery box out of the way. What I can tell you is this, in this box here, what at least should be, is an MTH Premier Single-Sheathed Milwaukee Road Boxcar, which is actually the first MTH Premier Single-Sheathed car that I have, so this is my first time looking at one, and is of my collection the first wooden MTH Premier car that is of freight. And wow, you would not believe this, but there we go, the tape didn't want to cut. Let's hope. Oop. Move it this way. Ooh. Look at that, he even left me a little note. Bruce, as his address name says, I thank you for letting me win that auction, man. So yep, as I said, this is a Milwaukee Road 40-foot USRA single-sheath boxcar. Road number 7038020. That is correct. MTH tends to be pretty good at matching up the numbers to their specific cars. But anyway, I did not look up how old this item is, and whoa, there goes the warranty. But I was gonna say, nice, decent styrofoam, and I actually like this plastic cover. I don't think there's too many Premiers I can think of right now that have plastic covers. I think they're just normally like that. Could be wrong, it's been a while since I've seen Premier cars new. But looking at this, you know, through the box, this was pretty much mint condition. He wasn't kidding. It even has the coupler caps and everything. Wow. Look, there's the scale coupler mounting pads. Get this out of the plastic, and actually, if I move this out of the way, I have a piece of track that I can display this on. So take it out so it's not just sitting on these bins. I'll take the coupler caps off. Whoop. Not sure if you can hear that or not, but this car has not moved in a while. It's actually a little stiff in the bearings, which tends to be a little common with MTH stock. What I will say is, in my hands, first appraisal, this is actually really nice. I have to give it to MTH that, I don't know why, but his wood detailing, the molded in wood grain on his single-sheath cars is pretty much what leaned me into finding these cars fascinating in the first place. I don't know why, but MTH's, there's just the way it hits the light that I have. I'm not sure if it's in the camera or not, but the way it hits it, you know, it just looks like that little bit more. So major kudos to Mike and his art team that made this. And while we're here, we can see the very tiny underframe, which there's a story behind that I'll get to in just a moment. We got brake tank, some of the brake lines, brake wheel, which the brake wheel is actually pretty small. The roof has that nice wood grain again on the treadway, but I believe the roof is supposed to be all steel, like the end sides. We'll look at the front side. But yeah, if I get it in that light, you can see the rivet details and all that. And the doors do open. The left side door is a little more stiff than the right side door. And the actual little buffers there do their job, by the way. Sometimes those little door buffers are cosmetic sometimes, but this one is functional, along with there being a little buffer at the top of the door. I'll move it back a little so you can see it. That little notch right there does prevent it from falling off. But again, just, you know, looking at this, I'm giving this major kudos to Mike. He did a great job capturing O-scale single-sheathed cars. This gets the thumbs up. Now comes the part for a little bit of history. The real USRA single-sheathed boxcars were designed during and after World War I in 1919 and in 1920, when the United States Railroad Administration decided we need to get more boxcars en masse to the railroads to ship our supplies around this great country. The single-sheathed cars, like I previously mentioned, do not have much of an underframe. It's pretty much a skeleton down there. Most of the car's support is actually the steel girders along the sides of the outside of the car, just like on a truss bridge. So while it looks a little strange that there's a bunch of diagonal and vertical lines on the side of this car, that's actually what's holding it all together. A lot of the strength comes from when you have these triangles that are holding up the car together from having that steel roof cave in, and also having a bunch of loads, heavy machinery or heavy equipment, or maybe a bunch of produce or anything you can fit inside of this car and through this door would be riding inside of it. And to have the floor not cave in, or like I mentioned, the roof to cave down, or, you know, even the steel sides at a great speed or anything to not collapse, these steel girders would hold the whole thing together, just like a bridge. And there were actually a few railroad companies in the day who did not trust these cars at all and stayed away from them from ordering. Then again, to the companies who did buy these, noticed that they were at a greatly cheap price for how little they weighed, how little they cost to be produced, how little maintenance needed to be done on them, and how effective they would be overall. So efficiency and money making, or money saving, was a big factor into how these cars lasted way until the late 50s, if not on a few rare occasions you would see these in the early 60s as well. Pretty impressive for a steel and wooden boxcar. When steel cars were being produced around those times, these cars still had their advantages. When I mentioned that the weight of these cars was an advantage, that's definitely a plus, because it can hold just about the same amount as a steel car. But wood weighs less than steel. The steel is primarily doing all the work of keeping it together, while the wood is holding the car as an actual car, where the support that it does not need as great a support as the steel is doing, that's what the wood would take care of to keep it in shape. Something I had stupidly done, by the way, was not inspect the trucks, which there's nothing wrong with them, but just a test I do every time when I get a new car is I just do a little flick test, see if they roll. Let's check this truck. Makes a nice purr, actually. And we'll do a coupler test real quick. It opens, closes. That seems pretty tight. Let's try this one. Coupler tab works, closes. Pretty good. Knuckles are pretty flexible. Yeah, and this is honestly one of the most impressive boxcars I have seen in a while, mainly because of just that wood detailing right there. That alone is what makes me really enjoy this car. It just looks beautiful, and the color as well. Most of my wooden cars are actually a brown, including some MTH, or my two technically other MTH wooden cars. One's a caboose, one's a passenger car. But this is a red kind of brown. The other two are brown. And I don't do too much with foreign roads besides collect a bunch of them, but I definitely can say having at least one Milwaukee road car, I feel a little satisfied. I'm going to look out for a few more in the future though. This is where it gets interesting. As I mentioned, the first box that I opened was an auction that I won, so I knew what I was getting. This is a box that came from trains.com from a friend of mine who I got stuff for Valentine's Day. She felt a little guilty that I got her about $30-something worth of chocolate and other kinds of candies. And she was like, I'm gonna buy you a train for Valentine's Day. And I'm like, you're kidding me. I would say, technically of an ex who would buy me trains a year later, you could definitely still call her a friend. You know, we went through thick and thin and everything. And I sent her a thing on trains and I basically said, O scale, not gauge. If it says 027, then that's also gauge. Anything that's like in a small price range so you don't feel too guilty overpriced or buying overpriced stuff, and she didn't want to pay too much anyway. But I said, you know, 3-rail, Lionel would be preferred because I am a Lionel collector. And she pretty much bought it, sent it to my place. This was, I think, a week and a half ago. And wow, I'm gonna have to stand up and get in frame for this because it doesn't want to open the box. Like I said, I don't know what the heck could be in here. There we go, there's a thing from Trains. Thank you for buying from trains.com. I buy from these guys semi-frequently. They kind of know me. I've seen their traveling displays a few times. Very nice people. Oh, she actually got this from eBay. She went through the trains on eBay, so that's interesting. As I say, there's my real name and address on this. Let's see what she found me. So we got, this is very classic of Trains, by the way, is this brown paper. And oh my God. What the? Wow. Okay, that's different. Ready for this? It's a Weaver, Boston and Maine, PS1 boxcar. Wow, I was not expecting this. Oh my, I was expecting like, you know, maybe a rail box, you know, one of the Lionel rail boxes, or, you know, maybe a cheap, you know, double shed. There were a bunch of cheap double sheds. I actually did research on double sheds, which is why I found out about single sheds and actually bought that one. But no, this is, whew, my goodness. I was legitimately not expecting a Weaver B&M blue with the black patch PS1. Well, that is so different and so cool. Why I'm shocked this is a Weaver model. If you did not know, Weaver was a company that made O-scale trains in America, all in the US. Dirt cheap, new. They made everything to scale detail. Everything, including New Haven, in fact. They made very nice New Haven cars to New Haven's likings. They made the standard stuff like Pullman standard cars, you know, PS1s, PS2 hoppers, flat cars, you know, tank cars, everything you could think of. Cabooses with lights in them, passenger cars that look absolutely beautiful. And the cool thing was, back in the day, these cars would have gone for like 30 bucks. 30 bucks new. Their resale is pretty similar to what they were back in the day. In fact, some of the prices have gone down just a little bit. And the most I'd say you would expect to pay for one of these Weaver cars, if they are plastic trucks, pay no more than 30. If they are die-cast trucks, pay no more than 40. That's the trick with them, because the plastic trucks aren't the best. They do roll. They do not do the best on like gradients, for example. Well, not gradients, embankments, for example, or They don't do the best in the middle, like sandwiched in a train, because then there's a lot of slack on a plastic coupler. But on a short, you know, roughly 10, 15 car long train, they're pretty much fine wherever they are. I tend to run them in the back though. That's a tip. That's a tip from me, by the way. If you have Weaver cars with plastic stuffs, run them in the back. Anyway, I'm just trying to see if I can get this in frame. I have a very weird setup, but yeah, this is, I think this is actually mint new. Like, I think that's the original seal. Oh man, this is an unboxing special, right? Because if you didn't know, Weaver went out of business a few years ago, and Lionel picked up everything they had, tooling wise. Ooh, I'm gonna have to look for that car. Give me a moment, folks. I did the thing, and yes, I am going to unbox this. Okay, I'm going to unbox it. But what I will say is this is actually a Lion scale made by Lionel, PS1 boxcar. You'd get them in like packs of 6, although I bought this, I believe from Grabowski's Trains. He does set breakups all the time. And this tooling is the exact same as the Weaver one, down to the door and everything. It is the exact same tool, is it? No, the brake wheel's on the back, so like, there you go. This is the exact same tooling that they came out of. Now this was made by Lionel under the name called Lion Scale, but it's the Weaver tooling. They moved it from they moved all the stuff from Pennsylvania down to, I want to say, North Carolina. And of course, you know, this is a Weaver, or not Weaver, it's a Reading brown, Reading lines boxcar. This is Boston and Maine blue. I was going to say, I have from a friend of mine from college, there is actually his Weaver Boston and Maine blue black door PS1. Looking at them top to bottom, the graphics are almost the same, except the door is blue on this one, and it has what's known as the black patch, when on this one it's solid blue, but it has a black door, which to my knowledge, both prototypical to Boston and Maine. In fact, the numbers should be accurate to their paint jobs as well. The real 76171 should be, I could be wrong, remember folks, I'm mainly a New Haven guy, although B&M is a very good cousin to us. 76234 should have had this paint job to her. Granted though, looking at it though, visually, you know, you really have to see these in person, but Weaver arguably made some of the best looking cars, especially for the price. You know, there's no major underframe details, which, oh well. You know, it's not like the Single-Sheathed car over here where it has separately applied everything and actual wood grain. You know, there's no need for that on this, because this car back in the day was like 30 bucks. And it rolls fine. It has the same kind of couplers that work with your Lionel, your MTH, you know, all the major 3-rail. Weaver made 2-rail, by the way, as well. So if you were into the big couplers, you can get the KD 2-rail couplers and the scale instead of high rail wheels. Man, I'm just looking at this more and more. I'm like, oh, do I really want to unbox? I think this is new. Of course, I'm gonna freaking open it. And as I do so, I just want to go over a little bit of history of the real Boston and Maine PS1s. I actually did not know this, but these cars in particular of this order number actually was ordered like this in 1957. I actually thought these cars were a little younger, but apparently they were built in the later part of the 50s. As I said, then I'm going to open these, open this, not these. Any value of it being mint and new, well, that's going to go away. But yeah, this definitely is new. That I'm just tarnishing here. I'll just rip this. They were on order from Pullman. PS stands for Pullman Standard, if you didn't know. For a bunch, I think it was 583 3. It was a weird number. Boxcars, PS1s to be ordered. Anyway, this is the first time this thing is seeing life outside of the factory. Oh wow, hold on, I gotta cut this correctly. Let's see. Also in my research, I was looking up this car, by the way. The Single-Sheathed was made in 2009 by MTH. This car I can't find any information on, which is like most Weaver models. You can't find any information anywhere about them, when they were made, how many of them were made, what variations there are, stuff like that. Weaver is a very small company. Yeah. Just cut that, there we go. I love all the care Weaver put into this, by the way. I think I had one other car from Weaver that wasn't mint, but it had these little foam things under the wheels. And yeah, it definitely wasn't mint, because wow, this does not want to come out. But I was going to say, I was looking at the box. That's handwritten. Someone handwrote that back in the factory. Most of them, they had a sticker with a certain amount of what was made in that time, and they put an X, and then they wrote the car number. But that's handwritten right there. Someone, I would want to say maybe in the 90s? Because you'd think what I'm thinking of, I could be completely wrong here, is the car, or the box was made with the stickers later on, or this was maybe a custom run, you know, of this version of the B&M, because like I said, I couldn't find too much info on it. Oh, that's why. Stupid me, ready? I keep pulling on it to go that way. No, it's because it's actually a U. It had that, that's why. I was like, why do I hear ripping? This should be much easier. Ready, folks? Nope, I think I'm gonna rip this one because it's stuck under the knuckle. Actually, hold on. Again, doesn't show its age, but shows this is new. This is mint. Goodness me. We got there in the end. Alright, going to do my rolling test real quick. Let's see. Couplers from the get-go. That one's a little weird, but that coupler. Oh, I see. Okay, we'll have to do the doors first because I have to actually open it up. When I was taking the thing out, I might have actually pushed the car. Ooh, there we go. A little stiff to open. I might have actually pushed the frame into the car. That's something with Weaver stuff, is they're very lightweight models, which is fine. You can actually put little weights in them, and considering this one did not come with a weight in it, that also is kind of telling me this might be an older model. There we go. If I just pop that out and pop it back into place. Ooh, there we go. All right, that's why it was probably stiff. Let's see. Little bit of drag. That axle does not feel like turning at all. This is what I mean by Weaver's plastic trucks, by the way. I'm not the biggest fan of these because you could do this stuff. You wouldn't really want to do that too much. But you could flex the trucks around like that. Keep in mind the truck, or the half of the truck on the back, I'm keeping still. The plastic body ones, yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of because you can do that stuff. And when it rides the rails, there's a very, very small tendency that it would like hop on like a bad switch or an embankment. So be careful with that. There's your floor. If you can see the wood detailing. It's not as grand as MTH's, and wow, the lighting does not want to work. There we go. Somewhat. But, you know, it gets the job done. You wouldn't really want to look inside the car too much anyway. Tread plate, Very minimal, but at the same time, like I said, gets it done. Brake wheel, I'm glad I have a nice full brake wheel, you know, it's not broken off or anything. Side graphics look good. Actual graphics look nice. Yeah, the coupler test. Now, the testing with these couplers is, again, they're all plastic built, they're not metal, so you want to be careful. But when I get a new car, I always pull on the coupler a little bit, see if it has any give. Let's try coupling. This one works pretty good actually for what it is. Although every time you pull it, it doesn't go fully back up. Good to know. Let's try the front truck. Much better. The front one's a little more reliable than the back one on this. But yeah, I have to say, you know, granted, you know, I praise Weaver for the fact that their stuff is so, or was so low priced. Everything is to scale, you know, stuff like that. Again, not the hugest fan of how their equipment rolls or, you know, is with all plastic couplers. But as a collector, you know, you'd be very happy having like a whole string of these in like a collection. And as an operator, if you keep these towards the back of your medium-sized freight trains, you're pretty good. So I've done about pretty much all the boring stuff, you know, opening the cars, talking about them and their history. I think now's a good time to say I want to thank you all for tuning in and watching the video. I'm sure most of you skipped to this part because this is the part where we run the stuff. But by all means, you know, if you like this, give me a like. You know, these trains aren't free and cheap, even though one was sent in for free by a friend. You know, this series is only going to live if I can keep buying new stuff, especially with this engine alone, you know, not cheap, like I said. But, you know, it's my hobby. It really is a dying hobby, doing O-scale stuff. And by all means, I'm proud of it. I'm one of the few who really takes this seriously, and reflecting on it makes me proud. So you get to watch a steam era freight go by with my new New Haven R1 locomotive. By all means, thanks for watching, everyone. Stay safe out there and take care of yourselves. you.